Hello, hello, coffee nerd here. Alright, so we are picking up outside of Wayward where we left off last night. So we did get through part of the quest for here at the Wayward with Duchess. So the next step is to go find her her muscle, as she calls it. Um, However, I thought since we were already at a decent breaking point, we would go over building our first camp. So we placed one right here just to have one. And then we placed another one up here by Vault 51. That is one of my favorite places to build. So I am actually going to open this one up because we never actually built anything. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast travel there first. So one of the most common mistakes that players make is not having their camp location public. And then they place their vendor and can't figure out why nobody is coming to buy their stuff. So, with that, I will show you what you do is you open your map, you hover over your camp, and when you click on it, it pulls up this menu. And you want to go to where it says public map, click on it, back out of the menu, and if you see there's this pulsing circle that radiates off of your camp icon, and that indicates that your camp is actually public. Now, because I'm building, I'm actually going to turn it back off. I don't really want to draw any attention to the fact that I am building a camp here. People tend to want to come to your camp. I don't like when people come to my camp when I'm building, just because if they don't realize that you're building, they tend to get in the way. Not intentionally, but it happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to enter build mode. And then you'll see here that there's this green circle. This green circle actually marks where you can build. Anything outside of the green circle, if you come on the other side of it, it actually turns red. So if you're in the green, you're good. If you're out in the red, you're not good. So what I like to do is take my camp module and either put it right beside a larger tree that I know won't be removed if I build, or I'll just bring it up to the very edge of my circle and place it there. That way it's out of the way. And then I find a good spot for myself to stand, so that, again, I am out of the way. And then I go into camera mode, or what some people call God mode. Well, it's not going to do it for me today. There it goes. Alright. I always like to test that by looking straight up and then pushing up. If I start to rise, then I'm in camera mode. The reason I do that is because there will be times when you will be standing in a spot where if you are not in camera mode, it doesn't go very well. So the first thing I do, when you find a spot, if you find a spot that has a resource, I typically place the resource extractor first, because taking a camp location with a resource, it kind of defeats the purpose if you don't place the resource. And if you run out of space before you get your resource, well, you've defeated the purpose. So all resources will have to have power. So what I will do, and you won't have access to it at first, you'll actually have to place smaller generators. But once I have the fusion generator, what I usually do is go to the turrets and traps category, and I'll place one of these spike board traps, and then you can place the fusion generator on top. And once you run the wire from the generator to a power connector of some kind, whether it be a powered item or just a power connector, you can actually trigger the spike board trap. Your generator disappears, but it's still powering everything. I learned that fairly early on, because all the generators create noise, except for the new ones that they recently came out with. It's the utility box generator. The utility box generators, I believe, are not supposed to produce noise. However, with that, I would still hide it, because it's going to be easier to hide the springboard trap than to have the try to hide the utility box generator. So now, because I don't have the plan yet for the fusion core generator, I can't place the larger generator. So what I'm going to do is actually place, just like I did the other day, I'm going to place 2 of these medium generators, and then I will run the wire from the one to the other, and then from the generator to the resource extractor. All right, well that was fun. And that's what I was saying, when you place the generators, they make noise, and the noise calls attention to any potential nearby enemies. So I usually try to stand up here once I have it placed. Just because I'm out of the way. So now that I have my resource extractor placed, what I'm going to do is start building my camp. So we're going to start with a floor. Now, as you go, sometimes, well, hi, maiden. Thank you, thank you. As you go, you'll find stuff in the Atom Shop for building your camp that will give you the floors and walls. There are 3 wall kits that you can get in-game without spending any money. It's the warehouse kit, the barn building kit, and the metal kit. To the best of my knowledge, those don't give you any different floors, but it does give you different walls and I believe roof as well. However, if you choose to spend money in the game, you can get different floors, walls, roofs. Typically, they're kits. So it'll give you the floor and the walls and the roofs. Everything that you would need to build all in one set. So what I like to do is just start with a basic floor layout. I always say I'm going to go smaller and then I end up going bigger. You can go as small or as big as you want. The bigger your camp build, the more budget you're going to take up. If you look in the top right hand, it actually shows you a bar. As we fill it up, you'll see it'll turn white on the left for what is actually placed, and on the right hand side is a gray, and that would be if I had anything stored. So let's pick a floor. I feel like I don't have very many good floor options. We'll go with this one and make a disheveled camp. And we'll use the stone for like a patio. So if you see here, this foundation piece, while it will actually attach, is hanging outside of the build zone. Let me see if I can get over here and get a better. And now it's there it goes. So because it's hanging off, I wouldn't be able to build in the section that's out past the circle of my camp. With this piece in particular, it would probably still let me use walls. It doesn't always, though. So what I'm going to do is just take and move my foundations over one so that I can get at least 2 foundations deep for a floor. I usually like to do like a 3x3 or a 3x4, just so I have plenty of space to actually put everything in my camp. It's not wanting to snap. There it goes. Okay, we're gonna do this. Got it. What part of the structure would not be? Okay. And sometimes the game will just be funny and not let you place things or move things. And when it does, you just say, "Oh, silly Bethesda." So I, for one, actually find all these little wonky glitches fun. I might not always in the moment. Um, Sometimes they're a little irritating when you have glitches at events or on your quest line or what have you. Um, but overall, um, I I just tend to look at it as part of the charm of the game. Um, because the game wouldn't be what it is without those little quirks. Now, I will say building isn't always this difficult. Um, they tend to make changes to build mode. Um, and when they do, it definitely affects how building works within your camp. Um, so as you see, I was having some issues getting my stuff to snap together there. Um, and that's just how the build mode functions. Sometimes it's just better than others. But if you persevere, you can typically find a way around it. So let's see, what walls are we going to use? We're going for disheveled look. I could do the rest in pieces wall. That's not a very disheveled. Where's the wall that I'm looking for? That's the haunted wall. There's the wall. Do we want to do the destroyed wall? I don't know. What do you think, Maiden? Should we do the destroyed walls? Kind of thinking maybe not. Let's go with the haunted walls. They look the same, they're just not all ramshackled. Oh, I'm being reminded to drink something. Alright. So, I really like windows in my camp. However, I've seen where if you lock your camp for whatever reason, players will still try to get in through your windows. So, like, say if you have a chair sitting in front of the window, they can actually access sitting in the chair through the window, essentially breaking into your camp without picking the lock or becoming wanted. I typically do have a lock on my door. I only close it if I'm not at my camp, to try to help minimize any enemies coming into my camp. Because as I discussed last time, mole rats somehow magically have the capability of opening doors. Mutant hounds, basically any kind of enemy is capable of opening doors. But if you have a lock on your door, they can't just go into your camp. So at that point, they would then have to actually break the wall before they can enter your camp. So, and I don't always close the door when I leave. A lot of times I'll just leave it open. But in your earlier levels, when you're not going to have a ton of scrap to rebuild, it's not necessarily a bad idea. So once you have your basic floor laid out, you can come inside and start placing things. Obviously, you can build interior rooms. There are ways to place walls inside. You can actually place a double wall so that you could use wallpaper on both sides. It's a little tricky to do, but what you would want to do is take 2 doorway pieces and you're going to place one and then the other up against it. So I then can actually place wallpaper on both sides. Now, if you wanted this to just be a plain wall with no doorway, once you have both walls in place, here on PlayStation you would hit the square. In your edit, you would hit the square and then your triangle to essentially replace it, and you would just put your plain wall and then repeat the process on the other side, and then you have a solid wall. But in order for the 2 walls to snap together, one on either floor foundation, you have to use the doorway. I don't know why that's the mechanic, but that's the mechanic they chose. And so now we're going to repeat the process here. And now we've got us a cute little space for a bathroom or a small bedroom. Any kind of space basically that you would want. Now, when I built my very first camp here on PlayStation, I actually built in this spot. And what I did, because I didn't have any of these fancy walls, what I actually did was I placed an extra floor piece outside and double walled so that I could use wallpaper on the outside. So that's always an option as well. However, with that, you do have to have wallpaper. However, wallpaper is essentially cheaper. you can typically find it for just a couple hundred atoms versus 1,000+ atoms to get a camp kit. So I could actually place this slate wallpaper, and it makes it look like I have like a slate brick home. So I think that those are actually better suited for the outside of your home than the inside. I actually used this one as my first one. This Mothman barn wallpaper. It's really pretty. So let's see here. This is going to be our bathroom. Let's see. Well, that's cute. I didn't even realize I had that. I think that's from the new season. Alright, so because we've got the wallpaper in the bathroom, we're ready to place bathroom stuff. So I know if you go to appliances, you can find your golden toilet or a broken toilet if you have the plan for it. Excuse me. I just got off work not long ago, so I'm already feeling a wee bit on the tired side. Let's see. So you're gonna need a sink. My goodness, I don't know if it's just me or if the game is not cooperating tonight. It's probably me. Let's see here. Go to floor decor. I can't ever remember right away where all the bathroom stuff is. I think it's in miscellaneous structure. Yep, here we go. Oh, and it's not wanting to behave itself. Alright, go out of God mode here. Some things do place easier when you're not in camera mode. But then again, some things place better when you are in camera mode. All right. Let me see here. See if I can't get this a little closer to the wall. I don't know why this is giving me such a hard time. I've never had this hard a time before placing my shower. Hmm. All right. Let's see. Well, that's closer. I think this is probably about as close as it's gonna get. All right. That's the shower. So I guess if we want to use the toilet, we're actually gonna have to use the golden toilet. That's kind of funny. When I got that from the Atom shop, it was a discounted item. And it was one of those things that I was like, oh my goodness, that is absolutely ugly. I was like, but I can't not get it because something tells me there's going to come a day when I'm going to need it. So it looks like today is our day. So there are workshops across the map. I don't remember how many of them there are off the top of my head. I want to say there's like 24, I think. I could definitely be wrong. But I know that there's definitely for sure at least a dozen. And so when you claim those workshops, you'll actually potentially get plans. Is it raining or is something shooting? Oh, it's raining. Okay. And then again, when you have to defend the workshop, when you complete the defend the workshop, you potentially can get plans from that as well. And most all of those are going to be for camp building. They're definitely not anything fantastic, but they are at least something that you can put in your camp. Because when you start the game for your first playthrough, you have next to nothing that's placeable in your camp. Why do I feel like I think it's the clean toilet that's in the chairs. And I may not have that yet. I've only been on PlayStation for roughly 2 months now. No, actually, it's been 2 months. It was 2 months this week. So I haven't had a lot of chance to really build up what I have, or at least not as much as I would like to. But if it were up to me, I would have every plan possible in the game. So, let's see. Alright, I guess we're gonna have to... Yeah, we're gonna have to use the golden toilet. Which is absolutely crazy to me. Alright, so for right now, that's about as built as our bathroom is going to get. So let's come over here. Let's wallpaper again. I think we're going to build a kitchen. Alright. So these kitchen pieces are pretty tricky, in my opinion, to place. They don't like to place. And when they do, they're usually not in the right place. So I'm getting tired. It's messing with me. So the tricky part with the corner cabinet piece is you have to get it lined up just perfect, because if you don't, your new pieces won't snap to it. Oh, I forgot about the white. Let me see. Oh, man. Let's see if I can. Awesome. love it. Actually, so the sink that is part of this set. Oh. So you have to really fight with it. And you have to put it you have to figure out your spacing and leave the space to put in. Somehow miraculously I got the spacing just right on that. Usually I have to fight with it. Let's have a window there so that we can watch out the window while we wash our dishes. So there is a slight bit of a gap there from where it connected to the sink, if you look there, but that's okay. I've never seen a perfect countertop, so it's all good. So we got a sink, got plenty of counter space. And then what is this? Oh, it's the window canopy. So I wouldn't really get too. I mean, your first camp, like I say, you won't have a whole lot available to you. I would basically just create a floor with 4 walls and a roof. And then as you go, you can create something bigger and nicer like this. I try to keep it fairly minimal. Let me see here. I think I'm gonna put this here. So basically you're going to start with this shelf for your structure. And the thing is, I always try to look at what's most important to have in my camp. So in this particular camp, because we have a resource extractor, I actually wanted to get that set up first because that's the whole purpose in having this camp location, is for the extractor. Now, one thing I would tell you is that when I build a camp with a camp extractor, when I'm placing my camp unit, I try to always pay attention to where the resource spot is and make sure that it's going to be at the very edge of my camp, because then that way I can best utilize my building space. If you put it right in the center of your camp, well, you're not going to have much space to actually build a structure like we're doing here. Alright. So, what I wanted to do now is to put a cook stove, if I can find the right category. Crafting. Alright, so it looks like I'm going to merge my cook stove. What I usually do for that, oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that even. Nope, I can't do my typical merge either. So, once you get the hang of building your camp as pieces snapped together, you can get into more technical stuff, such as merging, which with this being a new character, I can't really do a whole lot of that. But the options for building are actually a lot bigger than you would think, because there is merging. There's all kinds of tutorials available. If you just search in YouTube, you can find all kinds of videos learning different hacks and tricks in expanding what you can do in your camp. Alright, so let's see, can I actually place this on top of the counter? Nope. So I guess we're just gonna place this one. But if I do that, it blocks the sink. So I guess we'll do this one. And place it here. Alright. So, a lot of different people, just like in how we play the game, some people are over the top, all about numbers. You know, what's your DPS? I don't get into all the technical. I am more of a casual play. I'm just here. Give me the enemy, I'll take it out. But overall, my biggest love in this game is building, which typically I do a little better, but tonight I'm kind of on the struggle bus. So I'm just kind of throwing something together to show you how it can work. But you want to make sure, I mean, in my opinion, I'm going to make my camp look like I would want my in real life camp to look like. So in real life, I want my camp, or I would want my home to have a kitchen with a refrigerator and a stove, which I don't have a cook stove available, so I have to use what I have available. Um, but I want a bathroom. Um, I want to have a like a living room type situation. Um, because you want to have a place to sit down and relax, which, granted, you're in the wasteland, it's not real life. But I would imagine that even in the wasteland, you're going to want a place to curl up and be cozy. So I'm going to make it cozy. So let's see. My goodness, I don't even have a decent table available. All right. So I guess we're going to use our alien table. Chairs. So this ghoul chair, I don't have the plan for, but when it's placed, you go to sit down to it and the ghoul starts like moving his head and stuff. It's actually pretty cool. Gotta figure out what I want for a chair. Well, one might think that the chairs given with the table would be a good plan. Maybe. Possibly. Alright. And of course, you gotta leave a chair pulled out so that you can actually sit in it. Alright, so now that we have the chairs placed, let's see. If you have any kind of displays, you can put those out. Every cozy home has a hutch. I personally like this one. Ooh, but there's this one too. I think I like the other one better. Alright. So come over here to this side of the table. I'm just going to place a couple of these hutch cabinets. Apparently we're only going to place 2 because I'm out of copper. However, what we can place to kind of fill up that space is our magazine rack. And our bobblehead stand. We'll change wallpaper for our living room. Alright, so we also need to put a door in the bathroom. You can always hide the bathroom behind this painting. Let's see. There we go. We'll use that one. All right. And then over here, place our couch. Got our sectional here. Oh my lands. So it actually bothers me when it's not straight. Okay. I'm out of cloth. So if you had the plan, you could actually put a little TV here. That would be cute. But with that, I think I'm about done here for the night. I'll have to finagle with getting other resources and workbenches. But now we've at least got it looking like it's kind of lived in. And so from here, we can put down our different resources. So your coffee maker that produces canned coffee, your tree that produces adhesive, the butterfly enclosure, or the Mothman enclosure. They both do the same thing. They produce acid. And then, of course, like your weapons workbench, your chemistry workbench, etc. So I think tomorrow we'll come back and we'll work at finishing up our camp. But for tonight, I have successfully kicked off my vacation. I hope you've enjoyed. Um, not exactly as together as I would have liked tonight. I didn't intend to stream, I just kind of decided last minute to jump on. So, um, we'll come back tomorrow and finish up our camp, and then we'll get back to Duchess and finding her guards, or her muscle, I believe is what she calls them. So, with that, I bid you adieu.